So, if fear is the enemy, if it's fear that limits us, that starves us, that constrains us, what is the antidote? What releases us? Well, the antidote to fear is presence, is being here now. How does that work? Well, think for a moment about when you've been interacting with someone or in a situation, and then later when you've looked back, you think, why was I afraid in there? I look back and there was no reason for me to be afraid or anxious or tense, but at the time there seemed to be. So first of all, let's have a look at fear. If I am in a situation and I suddenly find myself getting tense, usually, if it's not a direct physical threat, it's because I've created a story about what's going on in my head. If I've created this story, I am no longer present. I am interacting with my story, this fantasy that I have created. Oh my God, if we keep on doing this, this can happen. And oh, I better not say this, because if I do, they'll get very angry and then I'll lose my job, or they'll go away, or I'll be lost. All of these are stories, if. We're creating this fantasy which becomes more real than what's actually there in front of us at the moment. If we are here in the moment, there is usually nothing to fear. Even if somebody else is getting angry and upset and bouncing off the walls all over the place, that's what they're doing. I don't have to get involved in their story. I can stay present, and only then can I help them, if I am there now, not getting tense and going into their fearful reality. So how do I know if I'm present? Question, how do you know if you are truly present in the moment? Well, one of the first things is there's no story. We've all experienced this. Psychologically, it's called flow. In sporting terms, it's called being in the zone. There is no story. There is only what is happening at the moment. When you've been having a good time with your mates, when you've been doing that presentation and it's just going so well, and there's real connection between you and the audience. When you're playing with your children and just having a great time, or when you're sailing or skiing, you're in flow, and it is joyful and it is present, and you're not constantly telling yourself a story about what's going on. How can we get there, particularly if we're getting tense? Well, in other videos, you'll be able to see some of the key techniques that can instantly take you from a state of tension to a state of presence. There's peripheral vision. There's the ability to take your breathing from to low breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. If you are low breathing, it is neurophysiologically impossible to be tense, because that initiates the opposite of the sympathetic or the fight or flight, which is the parasympathetic state, which is one of open, receptive relaxation. And a very, very simple tool is that of using your physical presence. We'll come on to that in a minute.